them. I think this guy believes in redistribution of wealth. I believe this guy believes in redistribution of wealth. This guy believes in redistribution of wealth. That's probably it. Maybe this guy. I'm not sure. This guy is just a communist. This guy's just a happy regulation guy. These guys, I think they're just in it for the money and corrupt. This guy is as well. I have no idea what his intentions are. This guy's a guy who went to jail. He was writing the whole strategy. I mean, it's an amazing thing, but the question that I think is, why?
This system is crashing down.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen to these people that brought this system down, and the American people are pissed when they lose everything they have?
Anybody want to answer that question? What do you think is going to happen? That's a great question. What do you think is going to happen? Anybody?
In terms of them paying a price for it, nothing.
Nothing?
No.
Why?
Because they never do. I mean, that's the sort of story of the political class. Is one of the nice things about being a member of the political class is you're insulated from the effects of your actions. I mean, you look at things like what happened with the housing market crisis and all that. The people who actually were responsible for that mostly got away without any sort of criticism, much less investigation, the charges or things like that. Whereas people are talking about banker pay and these sorts of, secondary issues at best. And the real culprits, like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are really at the center of it, are still there and still on federal support and will be forever.
I don't think the average person has paid what you're saying. We haven't paid the real price. A lot of people are still in denial that this thing's going to come apart.
When it comes crashing down, and the American people get pissed, sorry about the word, there's going to be a second revolution in the country. And I would not want to be in their place.
Really? Now, see, that's really interesting to say that, because that works to the advantage of this guy, of this guy, of this guy, of this guy, certainly of these two, responsibility to protect. It works to the advantage of this guy. It works to the advantage of this guy. This guy is the one who's trying to bring down the banks right now. See, there's two people, and Richard, you might be the one to answer this question. There's two classes of people, I think, in this. There are the true revolutionaries, the people who believe it, who are like, yes, communism and redistribution of wealth, and get them, because the bankers are all bad. And then there are the controllers. Then there are people like George Soros. George Soros, what doesn't make sense to me, didn't for a long time, is why would George Soros do this? Why would he collapse the system? How?
Money. In fact, there was a piece in the 90s on a show called Adam Smith when I first learned what they called the killer bees. And that was how he made the money off of the British pound. And he did the same thing by undermining the system. And that's what he seemed to be doing in other cultures, and he wants to do it to America.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. Let's tie this in. I agree with you. He makes money. Okay. But nobody really makes money in the Gaza Strip. Right? Why?
There's just fighting. There's unrest all the time.
Fighting and unrest. If communists went and tried to collapse the system and took over the system, okay, what would happen? Richie, how long would you fight?
I'd fight till I died.
Okay. Who would not fight for the rest of your life if somebody overthrew the Constitution of the United States? Would you? Well, raise your hand. Would you fight? Would you fight for the rest of your life and give your life if someone overthrew the government of the United States? So, we know that, and there are millions of people that would do that. Well, George Soros is smart enough to know that, isn't he?
Of course, because he's done these overthrows in many other countries where many other people were patriotic and willing to fight. And I hesitated, I have to say, in raising my hand because I don't know what I would do. The fact is, we all would like to believe we would fight and fight to the bitter end, but in most cases, they kill off the real fighters pretty quickly, and then the other people get in line, and the people who've done these overthrows, such as Mr. Soros and company have done in many countries throughout the world, they tend to succeed. They tend to succeed because people want to get on with their lives. They don't want to die.
They succeed for that reason, and I want to show you something. else that came to me about Roman history that is important. We'll do that next. We are back with Kevin Williamson, Deputy Managing Editor of National Review and author of The Politically Incorrect Guide to Socialism. Richard Poe is also here. He's the co-author of Shadow Party. Both of those books you need to read. Something that has been bothering me about all of this is if you want to collapse the system, you have to ensure that it's done quietly. Because you can't, if you're doing it for money, you can't have instability in America. And how many Americans will fight to their dying breath if they know that they've been had? This is why it has to be discredited. We showed you in the book where people were arrested in France for writing The Coming Insurrection. They were arrested for it. And the last couple of pages talk about, if we're exposed, we've got to act now. Because they can't let that out. The Coming Insurrection is about what's happening now over in Europe and what's coming here, and also what is happening now in Egypt and all over the Middle East. So you can't balkanize it because you can't make money. And really this is about money and power. I believe the communists are being used, quite frankly. Let's just divvy the people up that he has here. He has thugs. That's the union muscle. Organize, Saul Alinsky said, organize the organized. Don't care about the individual people. Organize the organized. Get the leadership and use that muscle. But they mean muscle. Remember when Andy Stern said, if we're going to use the power of persuasion, and if that doesn't work, we'll use the persuasion of power. Right? Now, this line, thinkers. These guys are the brains. They're brilliant people. This is a guy, John Holdren, our science czar, who said we should sterilize people, put sterilants in our drinking water to be able to, reduce the population. That's him. This is Cass Sunstein. This is John Podesta. This is Cass's wife. Now, John Podesta is the guy from Center for American Progress, which is the think tank that helped put together the Apollo Alliance and everything else. Cass Sunstein, John Podesta, this is George Soros's central bank. This is when we exposed Van Jones, he went here. Who's the EPA? Carol Browner, right? She just left this week to go to Center for American Progress. Can you tell me anything about it, Kevin? About Center for American Progress and how it's just a beehive?
Well, yeah, it's sort of a left-wing clearinghouse. I mean, it's a way that lots and lots of donations and lots of money and lots of manpower can be coordinated to various different projects. I mean, they got a lot of different things going on, but they do have a hand in almost every little tendril of the left.
So there's the thinkers. These are the, I would say these are the doers, organizers, and Marxists. These are the people that actually believe it. And this is media control. So now look who you have here. Who you have here? You have thugs, thinkers, Marxists, media control. But if you balkanize it, if you collapse the system and the American people know it, they'll revolt. Remember, it's bottom up, top down, inside out. That's the theory, right? So people are going to rise up. They want you to rise up. They need you to rise up. That's why they have the thugs and the Marxists. Because if you won't do it, they'll do it. And then you will beg them. Beg them. I want to be secure. I want to be secure. Come down. But if you're on to them, and you know they want you to come down, what happens? What did Octavia do in Rome? I really, truly believe the O for Obama should be Octavia. He is the first Roman emperor. Remember, Rome is a republic. And then it just falls into chaos. And so Octavia comes in. The bottom rises up. Make it stop, Octavia. And so he comes down. but he leaves them with the illusion of a republic. He leaves them with the illusion of the republic. So the real question here is what is the illusion of the republic that George Soros has planned? Because if we all know this guy is in bed with all of these guys, and we know that, you won't sit down unless, remember this guy said, we have an FBI agent who infiltrated his Weather Underground who said they will kill 25 million Americans. 25 million Americans just won't do it, just won't sit down for it. So they will kill 25 million. Okay. So we know he's willing to. But wouldn't it be easier if this guy could convince the youth? This guy could convince faith groups. These guys could just keep everybody in line. These guys could figure out the way to make it look good. There has to be the illusion. There has to be the illusion of the republic remaining. That's what you look for. That's, I think, what's coming in the next year. Is the illusion that these guys are somehow or another ratted out to satisfy after you cry out, top down, protect us. Back in just a second.